do the derivative of inverse cosine, and unlike a lot of questions, this one we are going to have to also worry about the chain rule as well, because this is not just inverse cosine of something that has a derivative of 1. But to be able to do this, we certainly would like to know that if the function was inverse cosine of x, we would like to know what is the derivative. This needs to be memorized. Alright, and it is -1 over the square root of 1 minus x squared. Alright, so for us, we also have a 3 out front. So let's do 3 times. And now we do the derivative of this. So I can follow this as a pattern here. But instead of plugging in x and just having an x right there, I'm plugging in an x over 2. So I'll need to adjust accordingly. So this right here would be x over 2. Okay, so the other thing that we need to be careful of is that when we look at what is memorized, there's no chain rule taking into account, because you take the derivative of this, you get this, and then you worry about the derivative of the inside part, but the derivative of the inside part is just 1, and multiplying by 1 doesn't really change anything. But in this case, we took the derivative of this, which gives us this, but we also have to worry about the derivative of the inside part. So the derivative of the inside part would be 1/2. So we need to multiply our derivative by 1/2 to account for the chain rule. Okay, so now we've got the derivative in front of us, and let's worry about making it look a little more presentable. So I've got -3 on top, 2 square root of 1 minus, if I square this, this would be x squared over 4. I guess one of the few other things that we could do is we could get a common denominator here to push those together. 4 minus x squared over 4. And finally, the last thing I see that could be done, but this was a multiple choice question. I guess I'd start comparing answers and see if I was there yet. But obviously this 2 is the same thing as the square root of 4. And when you take the square root of a fraction, that's the same thing as taking the square root of the numerator over the square root of the denominator. So if you think of the 2 as the square root of 4, that does allow a little bit more to cancel out. But once you do that, doesn't look like anything else can be done.